Welcome, peace and blessings, y'all. My name is Elle'vated, aka L the Lion, and tonight we are here on Voices of the Millennials for another elevated conversation right here on Love Bay Music Talk Afrobeat Radio. You know what it is, you know how we do. We always bring through an individual or two, or maybe three. Sometimes we've had four, but tonight we have one amazing special guest who is going to speak to us today about their journey through transforming breakdowns into breakthroughs and finding opportunity in opposition. It's not easy. And it's a journey that really, truly takes a lot of something that I find very near and dear to my heart, which is balance. And for me, balance means, you know, being able to steady yourself amongst the ups and downs that is inevitably going to find you in life. And so there is an individual who I've had the opportunity to know throughout all of life's oppositions. I've known this individual for going on, I'm going to just tell you that it's over 10 years. That's all I'm going to give you today. I'm not going to go further than that. I've known this individual for over 10 years, and I have seen them be able to overcome opposition and find many opportunities just using the resources in their community. This individual is a mother. They are also a wellness advocate, and I would say a champion for wellness. They're always sharing wellness tips, techniques, hacks, anything to try to help make your life a little easier. And don't we all need a little bit more ease in our life, a little bit more direction so that we can understand exactly where we're going? And so this individual took all of these amazing qualities. They're also a business owner, an entrepreneur, and they took all of these qualities and bundled it up. And now they call themselves a millennial mentor. So, would this not be the perfect person to bring through on Voices of the Millennials, someone who is advocating for us? Melisa James is coming through to bless us on Voices of the Millennials and tell us all about how we can find balance during this very tumultuous time. Because, hello, I'm a millennial. Life not easy. Life be
Yes.
lifing, as the kids say these days. So, Melisa, thank you so much. And affectionately known as Melon Online, you can find her Melon Online underscore on almost every platform. Welcome to Voices of the Millennials. How are you
Thank
feeling?
you. Thank you. That was a really good introduction. I wasn't expecting all that, but I appreciate it. I'm good. Yeah, I'm
We make
good.
magic here.
Huh?
I love it. I
Yeah,
said
no,
we
it was
make
really.
magic over here, you know?
Oh,
We
okay.
really like to put shine on the individuals who are here and really uplifting our community with education and knowledge. And you're one of the people that I think is doing, um, what you need to do with knowledge to make it powerful, which is actually apply it. So you're not only
True.
finding out all of these great tips and tricks and doing all the research for us. Thank you very much. And then you're also curating it, creating content, putting it online so you can make it more bite size, easier to digest so that we can live our lives. So thank you so much
This
for
is
doing
true.
that. And I'd love to
Thank
know a
you.
little bit more about, your journey, how you got into that. But for the people at
Mhm.
home, who might be thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is so intimidating. This person who's done all these things." We want to just let them know a little bit about you behind the scenes. So we have this little game that we play to break the ice before we go deep. And so it's called This or That. I change the
Okay.
name every time, but essentially you have two choices, and you only have like whatever comes to the top of your mind. Let us know what is your preference. Okay.
All right. I'm
So here
indecisive,
we
but
go.
let's
This
try.
time I chose the questions. You got this. You got this. And all of the questions are kind of related to lifestyle questions that I thought were,
Okay.
a millennial mentor would definitely have some insight on these. Okay,
True.
here we go. Work life balance or work life integration?
Work life into. No, balance. Depending on where you're at.
Balance. Okay, we gonna get into that. Okay, meditation or exercise for stress relief.
Mm, meditation for me. Yeah. I'm a meditation person for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
love. Planner or digital calendar? Oh, this is a big one. This is a big one.
mm, I'm going to go a digital calendar only because it goes across platforms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me too. I had to give, I
Yeah.
was a big right person, but man, I had to give
Same.
it up. The digital calendar is king right now.
Absolutely.
All right. This one I think you will have some insight on. Meal prep or dining out?
Meal prep. If I'm coming from a wellness space, it's definitely meal prep, but I do love eating out. But yeah, meal prep.
I hear you. I'm still on that dine out. I'm trying. My bank account is calling me to stop this, but
It's
we'll get
hard.
there. Maybe you can
It's
help
hard.
me with that, Melissa.
Yeah, yeah, we
All
can
right.
figure it
So,
out.
reading a book or listening to a podcast?
Mm, I'm going to say listening to a podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. These days, like the way my schedule is, it makes it a lot easier. But I love reading
Yeah,
books. I miss you.
me
Okay.
too. For real.
All right. Hey, right? And nothing like a good book.
Yeah.
All right, outdoor activities or indoor hobbies?
Outdoor activities anytime, every day.
Mm,
100%. Yeah.
we love.
Yep.
Get outside. All right, y'all.
Yeah, seriously.
Family time or alone time?
Family time. Yeah. It's going to be family
Aw.
time. Especially with a 2-year-old. Yeah.
And we will definitely talk to you about life with a 2-year-old.
True.
This is that age. You have stories, we know. Spill that tea. All right, daily routines or spontaneous adventures?
I'm a spontaneous person, so as much as I strive towards routine, spontaneous is always going to win just because what else can happen? Who knows?
Right? Be prepared. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Max.
Okay, we have two more for you. So,
Okay.
quality sleep or early wake up routine?
Quality sleep. Yeah. It could
Okay,
be a downfall,
okay.
but I value
Um,
my sleep.
I honestly think that sleep is medicine, so it does help you
Mm.
to perform a lot better, even though you might think that like getting up early, you get things done, but how alert are you? So, that's a good one. And finally, would you take setting goals or going with the flow?
Hmm, I'm a little bit of both. But if I have to choose, maybe the flow is going to be the flow. Yeah. Yep.
All right. I do love this. I love that, you're all about that ease. This year, I promised myself that it was going to be an easy year.
Yeah.
I often do like put myself under like really challenging like situations, but I want to find more ways to build ease. And I definitely think after speaking with you the other day that I can see, your wellness coaching and somebody that is really finding ways to make life a little bit easier and manageable. And so I'd
Mhm.
love to know about that. Like, how did you even start to think about becoming a wellness coach? When was that pivotal moment? Because I've known you in many capacities, but I've always known you to be
Yeah,
somebody in the community, always about wellness, upliftment, advancement. So to me, it wasn't a weird shift to see you go there. But what was that
that's
moment
true.
that really transformed things for you to take on this as a career?
Okay, well, 5 years ago, I have to start back then because when I started the
Let's
coaching
go
side
back.
of things, yeah, we got to go back because even before wellness coaching, it was life coaching for me. Like, that's what I really wanted to do. And it was at a point in my life where it felt like this is the direction I should go into because I just love helping people, but I don't want to help people in the capacity of the school board, for example, and the role I was in there. So it was just like, okay, well, let me become a coach because I don't necessarily want to go back to school and I don't necessarily want to become a psychologist specifically or a therapist specifically. I just want to support people on their journey. And so I was like, okay, I took a life coaching course and did the program. The coaching course was actually like called Well Coaching. So it was kind of geared towards wellness, anyways. But then I started focusing on making vegan cheese, as you know, and that was my way of supporting people in a certain capacity. And then I moved into, like, after doing that for a while, and I'm in this transition space where I've decided finally to go back into
Mhm.
coaching and really focus on that. And why I chose wellness is just because I don't even know if I'll be calling myself a wellness coach, as you know, because I say millennial mentor instead of wellness coach. But I feel like wellness for now is the closest fit to what I think I'm doing. So it's almost like I want to
I
support
love it.
people, yes, but I don't want it to be from necessarily a fitness diet position or just specifically focused on mental health. I feel like it has to always be holistic. And I feel like because a lot of my work has been around spirituality and healing, I feel like, well, spirit is one of those areas that doesn't get much attention under the wellness umbrella. So maybe I will focus on the spiritual
Mhm.
slash mental side and really focus on wellness in that area because wellness is huge. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I guess I just want to see people.
Yes.
I want people to find balance. Like how you mentioned earlier, I want people to find balance because the world is chaotic in many ways. And like living on this planet is not easy for most people, but it doesn't have to be hard. So it's just trying to get you out of the belief it's going to be hard, it has to be hard, into a space where you're like, okay, even when it gets like that, it's not going to be the worst thing I've experienced, or I'll find a balance or a calm, you know?
I love that. And just thinking about, these areas that you've transitioned from. And we had a
Mhm.
conversation the other day that I thought was really interesting and something that I think, we don't really talk about a lot, which is sometimes the places that we go, that we
Mhm.
decide to take our talents to, and the things that transform into something else. Some people might look at those as mistakes or errors or like you went in the wrong
Yeah.
direction. But
Yeah.
I think that those are our biggest learning lessons. And I would love to know if there were any moments in your life that even if you go into details or not, that you found that actually breaking down, like finding something that broke down, actually
Mhm.
led you to a breakthrough, especially in your career as an entrepreneur. Um,
Yeah.
is there any pivotal moments that you can think of? I see you nodding your head like, yes, about six of
Girl,
them. But which
they're
one? Will
always
you tell us about?
happening. They're always happening.
Yes.
When will they end? No, I'm kidding.
Mhm.
Yes, for sure. There was the one that to me is like, you know how there's like before Christ, after Christ type of situation? For me, I had a moment like that too, where it was like when I used to work for the school board, right? And like the job was great. I mean, it paid well and all that
Mhm.
sort of stuff. But there was a real point where I was like, I'm going to work, but I don't even feel like I'm actually there. Like something inside of me is just not existing. It was like I
Mhm.
was stepping out of my house and my spirit was still there, but I was going to work anyways. And
Mm.
when I was leaving, I was really depressed. And like, I didn't even know I was depressed. I tried to go to work one day and I just started bawling. From the moment I woke up and looked in the mirror, I was bawling my eyes, just crying. And I couldn't even figure out like what is going on. I just know I'm like really, I guess, sad or something. I can't even say what the experience, like what the feeling was, because I was just crying and I couldn't figure out where it was really coming from. And then, so I cried the whole day. I still drove to work because, this is just what you do. So I drove to work,
Yep.
sat in the parking lot, cried, and I was playing scenarios in my head, like if anyone talks to me in a certain way, I'm just going to let them have it. And I'm like, this is not like me. So something's wrong here. And then, so I called my coworker, and we work in teams. And I was like, listen, I can't stop crying. Like, I don't know what to do. I can't go in there. And she's like, okay, we're going to meet. Like, meet me at Starbucks because listen, we need to figure out what's going on. So we met up, and she's like, you need to go to a doctor, get a doctor's note, and take some time off. And I was like, I don't know if I could do that. And she's like, you have to. So I took some time off. And but even when I was at the doctor's office, because I called my mom, I called my dad, and they're both like, whoa, something's really going on. And even when I was at the doctor's office, I couldn't stop crying. So that was the moment where I was like, nah, this is ground zero for me. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel right. And it was then when I was like, yo, I'm really depressed, because if I'm able to keep going into work and feel like I don't really exist in this space, like something's off. But then once I took that time off, it's when I would cry and just kind of like feel what was going on. And I was like, something's really off. I'm depressed. I think this is what depression looks like. And like, I just couldn't see the light. Like I couldn't see, it just felt really lonely. It felt really dark. And I couldn't figure it out. So my dad was like, take all the time you need. We'll figure this out. So take your time. And I was living on my own, but it was like just being away was a lot better than being there. Like being by myself even was better than being there. And so through that process, I think I really, really called on, I don't remember who it was who helped me in this process most, but like I spoke to my friends, and like I would just completely like close my eyes from work. Like I'm not thinking about that. I'm off. Let me go see my friends. Then when I get back home, it'd be more of a process of just thinking about what's really going on. What am I going to do? And even when I would think about that, I would speak to my dad, and he's like, don't think about work. Like, just don't. Like, you need this time just to be. So in that time, I discovered, yes, I was depressed, but I also needed to just figure out what I truly wanted to do. I needed to figure out what I really loved about myself. I was still speaking to my coworker, and she was more spiritually grown, I would say, than myself. And then even I had my spiritual mentor who did like Reiki and stuff like that. And so we spoke about a few little things from here and there, but it really wasn't that. And then I started thinking, you know what? I think this is a time for me to consider coaching or a new career path. And it was just like little steps of like, oh, you know what? I need to figure out what's going to help me get out of this. So it was Reiki for a little bit, and it was intuitive Reiki. So that was more about telling you what's going on, telling you where your heart is. And then it was talking to my parents. It was talking to my friends. It was writing a lot, and I would bawl my eyes out every single time, but it was such a good release. And so I consider that like BC. And so that was that moment where it was, that's me where I could be, but I don't want that life. And now I need to move forward and decide what I truly, truly want for myself. So yeah, that was that pain period. And then a second time that did happen to me was when I found myself in a similar position. So I had the second time it happened was more about pressure. It was about me leaving a job, like a part-time job, because now I was self-employed. I'm doing my thing. And when I left the part-time job, I put so much pressure on myself to like just go like this. So I was kind of like, I guess, warped by what you see on TV. Like, when you watch like Food Network, or you watch a show where people are following their passion and they're like, yeah, I left my corporate job and this just took off. And you're like, yeah, that's exactly, I'm going to be, that is like, that's not real
gonna
life.
Be me.
Yeah. So that's not real life. And that was a lot of pressure I had put on myself, and I had like this really extensive to-do list that was never being done. And it was also winter, so I was also just seasonally depressed, just like it was just terrible. And I just remember going into a very dark space at that time, darker than the first time, but this time it was harder for me to see my way out. And I had went on a retreat, and that really helped to kind of bring some reasoning to why I get to this point when I either put too much pressure on myself or I believe more in the materialistic way of living versus a way that's true to my heart. And that's, I guess, maybe in those years, it was also a period of stepping away from that old version of me into this version that you know now. And people know, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We
I hope I answered
love to hear it. We love to hear the growth, and I appreciate
the
you.
question.
And I appreciate you sharing the ups and downs, especially
Yeah.
the, what you see on TV versus what happens in real life. And one of the things that we had chatted about was, what about when you decide that, yeah, I'm leaving my job? Like you said, I'm leaving my job.
Mhm.
Now things are going to be on the up because I found my passion. I'm doing what I love and I'm making some money. So,
Yeah.
but what about when all that happens and then still you find, I actually don't really love this. Like, I just don't
Yeah.
love what I have to do to make all of this work right now. Because maybe you just don't have the
Yes.
resources to outsource like the admin that you don't like or the outreach or the marketing. And so therefore the business just becomes more of a pain point. It starts to feel like, where you just came from, and that
Yep.
now it's like you want to take a leave, but it's like you're taking a leave from yourself. There's no like short-term
Literally.
disability or anything waiting. So I know that you have had a similar experience, and I know myself, I have gone through so many passions, and I'm just like, "Oh no, I really hate this one. I don't wanna do
Yeah.
this anymore," and it's been so hard to tear myself away, and I know there's others out like us out there, so would just love to hear your insight on how do you peel yourself away from that? Like, what are some of the things you had to tell yourself or maybe, change about your life to make these transitions?
Yeah. I remember this conversation too, because I was like, yo, I wish it was easier, but like it's not. And you kind of like, I don't think there's an expectation we could set on where's the end point, because part of the journey or all of the journey is still healing work, and healing doesn't necessarily end. So even though we're both going to find this next space, it can still be another space after that. And it's like, for me, it was like East End vegan, great. But then I was disconnected from veganism because I'm not vegan anymore. I'm vegetarian. And that was a pain point, which is like, well, I don't know what I'm going to say to people. Like, what am I going to do? How do I sell this vegan product? So I'm like, oh, let me change the whole business to actually reflect me, because it's still a personal business. This is my first business officially. So it's like, I'm still learning so much about business on its own as like the separate world versus business from my space, which is I created this thing and I'm giving it to the world and everyone's going to do this thing. So it was weird because East End Vegan started as a passion project. As I got further into it, I was enjoying it. I was enjoying community. But then it was also like I'm not feeling connected to some of the people who are really hardcore vegan because they're really intense for me. And that's just not the kind of environment I would
Mhm.
want to put myself into. And then it was like, okay, move away from that side of things. And COVID hit, of course. So COVID gave me so much space. I'm so thankful for COVID in a way that doesn't diminish the difficulty some people experience, but I'm thankful because what it did for me was give me a fresh pair of eyes to like my reality. And it was like I had my daughter during COVID, and that was a great experience. And when I returned to the business, it was more out of necessity. And I was like, I'm going to make this work for so many more years. It's going to be great. And as I continue doing it, I'm like, I'm really pushing myself to do this thing I don't want to do. So, so along the
Mm.
way, whether it's from a child or it's just you changing and growing, you realize like, yo, you just can't keep doing this thing that doesn't actually bring you joy. and you need to step away from it because you're not trying to put yourself back into spaces you know you didn't like in the first place. So I've experienced the depression at a job I didn't like. I've experienced immense pressure to build something that I'm having a hard time with, or that I just can't see really being as big as maybe it should be. And now I'm here trying to force something that I'm not even invested in from my heart. So it's like, no, I have to choose me every time. Because one, I have a child to raise. And if I don't choose
Mm-hmm.
me, then they're going to grow up thinking they're supposed to please other people first. And then at the same time, it's like, if I don't choose me, then I will get depressed. And who knows how long I would actually last on this planet, you know? So there's some hard truths that you have to face when you're not happy, or when you're not doing things that you love anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I absolutely like those insights are huge. I hope y'all out there that are listening right now on Love Bay Radio are having out your pens and papers or recording in your minds, because the things that you have mentioned, these are the tools that we need. It's all about the mindset shift because, as you said, like life will happen, it will keep on happening. Look, life's happening right now. We have, things are happening for all of us. And I also really enjoyed what you said about COVID because, similar to you, it gave me a lot of space to understand myself and what I really wanted to contribute to this world. And so
yeah.
for you now, you are, you gave up the what your baby, your first business, but then you gained a real life baby. So now you have another
True.
job, which I think is the toughest job in the world, having, a hand in raising kids. How do you do it? Like, how did your life transform and how did you take on this new role being a mom and still now being an entrepreneur?
Um,
Maybe shed
well,
on,
no.
maybe like, some of the things that you did to make your life easier, maybe in
Yeah, I
that
think
realm.
that's important. The first thing I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say, actually, I was gonna be like, I have a lot of support. I'm very thankful for the life I live because I have a
Mm,
lot of support. I have a really solid family and a really solid community around me. And when I say solid family, this doesn't mean we don't have issues. Like, I just mean we know how to support regardless of the issues. So I can't even say this is a work of me just making things work. This is like, yes, me stepping in and being like, this is what I want and I need the support. But also, people just stepped up, like, how can I help you? What can I do to assist you in the process? Like,
mhm.
people really, they know me and they know when I'm like getting defeated. So they're kind of like, Mel, what's going on? What do you need? And so, like, having a child and making very bold decisions, especially to step away from like finances and things that may seem or appear more secure, um, I couldn't do it without support. So it's like, my thing is build a community, even if it's not family, build a community, not out of desperation, but build it with the intention of
Mm,
building a family outside of your own. Um, Build it with the intention of building real trust, so that you find solid people who actually want to support you in that process. And if you do have family, make amends where you can. People are not going to be perfect for you. They're not going to be your cup
mhm,
of tea. They're not going to be people you'd even consider friends if they weren't family, but they are people that for some reason you
mhm.
still trust them more than anybody else. Like, it's a weird environment when it comes to family. So that's important, because if I didn't have them, I couldn't take all these leaps of faith. I couldn't take the chance of like, okay, I'm going to leave this
Mhm.
company and I'm just going to end that business and move into this direction. I couldn't take the time to actually go to school and learn how to do makeup, because, I also do makeup. So it's like, I couldn't do all these
Oh,
things
yes,
without my
we will
support.
talk about that.
So it's just, I
Mhm.
feel like the key is support. The key is 100% support. And because they're also going to support you mentally. So when you're overthinking your process, when you're overthinking if you're doing the right thing, they're going to be like, no, I see this in you. And you probably know that too, people, because I see this in you. I see this is where your direction is. So every step you take, people are affirming this is the right thing for you, which also helps you when you're in the doubtful phase, when
Mhm.
you're in the, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. So much of that comes from the people around you. And then you have to trust yourself. And my relationship with God is very solid. So there's a high level of almost like innate knowing that I'm being taken care of. And if I trust God enough, I should not worry. Like I should never worry at the end of the day, because God has never failed me once. Even in the hardest times, even the darkest days, God has definitely not failed me. So, yeah.
Mhm. I love that. I love, the faith, family, the connection to community. I agree that these are keys, 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 keys. I
Yeah.
remember, well, two things while you were speaking that really came to mind. One is that I have to give you your flowers actually right now, because when I
Cool.
started to do like anything on the internet, I do remember
Yeah.
that. So a long, long time ago, I had a blog and I used to write
Yes.
about like things that kind of like what I talk about now, like
Mhm.
promoting, mental health. But this is
Mhm.
when I didn't live a lot of life at that time. I just had a lot of ideas of how you should live life. I'm happy to
Yes.
say most of them, they were right. They were right.
Yeah.
Did I follow all my advice? No.
See?
But that being said, one of the people early supporters was Melisa. I remember that one of the people that saw it in me,
Really?
that
Mhm.
never any of the different like paths that I've taken to helping elevate my community, which is like that's my purpose. Melisa,
Yeah.
you have been there along the way and have supported every single phase of my elevation. So I do want to thank you, because I remember when I stopped writing, but Melisa was like, "Oh man, are you gonna write like? Let me know when you write again." And even when I didn't write again, the next thing that I did, you jumped on board. So I really appreciate that. Yeah,
Oh,
having
thanks.
that faith like in people and in the world, because we need more of that so that people feel
Yes.
safe to be themselves. And I just think when people feel more safe and happy with themselves, like we were saying earlier, that they're just going to do more good in the world. There's just going to be
Yeah.
inevitably more good. Bad things will
So
happen, but
much.
we will be like on the like side of good kind of thing. So
Absolutely.
absolutely love that. And then another thing you mentioned was just being able to find ways, like kind of having these facets in life. You spoke about your faith, your relationship with God, your relationship with your family, and understanding that nobody's perfect. And when I was sitting one time in a psychologist's office, they asked me to break down, like do an audit, a life audit. And so I would encourage everyone to do this, because I think it goes along with what Melissa's saying today,
Mhm.
that we need to see the areas in our life where we do have support, and then lean into those areas, lean into those
Mhm.
spaces. And that's where we're going to start to build our community, because it does take a village. Raising a child, like I can only do it because there's so many other people helping right now. And
Yeah.
so, when you feel like you don't have much, lean into the things that you do have. And I find that more things start growing from that space, like that perspective. So,
Yeah.
thank
That's
you
so
for
true.
inspiring me, 'cause, and I'm glad that we're recording
No
this so that
problem.
it will be here
For reals.
forever, y'all. You're on
Right?
YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and
Yep.
135 other countries streaming right now. So thank you for listening. We're here with
Sure.
Melisa James, Millennial Mentor. And I want to get into more about the Millennial Mentor. So this is where you're at now. This is,
Mhm.
what is it for you to be a millennial mentor? And what do you hope to leave like as your legacy in doing this work?
That's a big question. But before I even say that, I just have to
Big
say,
question.
in response to I see you and myself, and I said this to you before, like we're mirrors in many senses. So just seeing you on your
Yes.
journey and every iteration of it is like, yes, yes. Like, because you're getting so much closer to whatever else you want to explore and experience. So it's like
Right.
I want to see more of you in the world, and I want to see more people who are comfortable with sharing all aspects of their journey, so that other people realize like you don't have to just do one thing. and it's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong there. There's no confusion there. It's just you following the path that you're supposed to be on. So I love that for you, and I'm excited to see
Mm-hmm.
what else happens. Yeah. But anyways, okay, so the question, millennial mentor. Um, okay, so as a millennial mentor, what that comes from is, again, like with wellness coaching, the word, sometimes I get stuck on words, I'm not gonna lie, but it just seems so like this is what I'm doing. Whereas like I'm like, I think I'm outside this box. So millennial mentor speaks to the fact that I can actually bring in different tools, whether that is supporting and healing work, whether that is using tarot if I need to use it, or doing a reading, or just simply doing the coaching side of things and talking people through their process. So it's really about providing tools and also showing my journey along the way, because I use so many random things to support myself on the wellness journey. So as a mentor, I feel like they always bring resources, they bring the tools, and they're often maybe one step ahead in terms of where they're at. And I feel like when it comes to spirituality and my healing journey, a lot of people have spoken to me and said, like, oh, like, I noticed you've been doing your thing. And like, I don't know how you got to that point. Cause I guess maybe I don't take things too seriously. And I think that might speak to some people as like, oh, like you've evolved to this place where like life isn't lifing for you so much. So the question is, how do I get that? How do I get there? And I feel like I have to lean into that reality that life isn't lifing for me as significantly as it is for others. But maybe in my experience, it's about recognizing that and what I've done in the process to get to this point so I can actually share those tools with other people. So that's where I'm like, maybe mentor is the thing that I'm doing, maybe mentorship, and maybe all the healing
Mm-hmm.
work I've done to this point and the retreats I've attended have helped me get here, you know? So millennial mentor feels like the right term for me right now. And then maybe it will evolve into something else. I don't know. But also, I just feel like in terms of legacy, I don't know. I think my only purpose, I guess, well, not only one major purpose I have, and one thing I would like to ensure people recognize is that I'm just going to help you learn the lessons you came to this planet to learn. And hopefully you've resolved what you needed to within those lessons. So you either don't build any new karma or you don't have to come back to this planet. Like you really deserve to
Mm-hmm.
be free of the difficulty of this environment. And so I want people to just be like, yeah, Mel helped me through that. Or, you know what, she saw that I have more to offer than what I was allowing myself to share with people. And hopefully that will help them find balance. So I don't know. I guess the legacy would be I'm a helper healer or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that this legacy is being told right now. It's unfolding right now for sure, at least in my eyes. This is how
Yeah.
I'm seeing you. I'm so excited to see the great healer that you are going to become, all the tools that you've been bringing in. So I'd love to like and you kind of ended things so well there with saying that really you just want to bring more tools so people can find their balance in their life. And
Mhm.
it really is about the tools. It's about, taking those tools and applying them. Like I said, that makes you have some power over your life where, most of us feel like we're out of control or we don't have any power to bring
Yeah.
things to where we want it to be. A lot of it has to do with the way that we see things. And so I think sitting down, having someone, so important to have that person who thinks that you're more than you do. Like, even though in this world,
Yeah.
I will say that's not really what the world is for. Like, you got to
Yeah.
be out here for yourself. You have to believe in yourself the most. But when you
Mhm.
have somebody, a coach, which I think that's what a coach is, like they're on the
Yeah.
sidelines and they're cheering you on, even when you're having your worst game. Like, they're
Yes.
shouting things for you to do, like for you to be able to remember who you
Yeah,
are and stuff like that. So,
that's true.
I think the work you're doing is incredibly important. And I'd
Thank
love
you.
to know, like outside of the work that you're doing, what else are you excited about right now that you're bringing into the world? Like maybe, I don't know, what else are you working on? Because we did say that my
Yeah.
girl is also a makeup artist. And I love the way you did your makeup today, by the way, because I was like,
Thank
yeah,
you.
I really
It's
love those
something
eyes.
simple.
That's how I want mine to be. So we go chat, but how about you tell
Yeah.
people,
Yes.
how did you bring
Sure.
being a makeup artist into everything? How did it work?
Girl, it was so random. Like, I promise you, it was so random. Me and my mom, actually, it started with my mom doing, she sells makeup and she was doing makeup artistry. But she did it in an online program. So she didn't feel comfortable. And she's like, hey, can you help me do makeup for something? And then my other friend who has a salon, like a hair studio, she's like, hey, can you help me with some makeup for something? And I was like, to both of them, I don't feel comfortable. Like, I know I can do makeup, but I feel like there's still certain things I'd want to learn, especially in terms of sanitization, because a lot of people don't realize when you take a course, especially in the aesthetic world, it's not just about technique, it's also about like cleanliness. And I don't find a lot of the makeup girls online, makeup girls and guys actually online, talk about sanitization. So it's it I want to know that, because I'm not going to be putting makeup on people and then all of a sudden they break out and here it's me, right? So that's something I really want to learn, but then I end up learning techniques and all of that. And my mom was like, well, let's find a makeup course. I was like, okay, all right, cool. And so we found a makeup course and she's like, I'll take it with you too. And so like, all right. So we both did it together. And like her makeup technique has improved significantly. But honestly, that was really enjoyable just to watch her learn, because you don't really get to see your parents really get into learning spaces. So that was amazing. And so
Hmm.
I learned makeup and I'm like, ah, this is great. Like, I love this. And it's just such a creative outlet for me. Like, you would never know that like something that seems so random was actually something you really needed in your life at the time it showed up. So that happened. I took that course and I started doing makeup, practicing on friends. So I'm still like, I want to learn more. So if you're down to practice, if you want like some makeup, let me know. But yeah, so I
Yes.
did a few bookings last year. Um, and I did my first wedding last year. Actually, I did technically two weddings. No, three brides, but one bridal party. So yeah, it actually has been going well, and it helps because my friend has a salon, so it also helps her with her business. And like, she's helped me so much be more confident and just recognize like, yeah, you can do the makeup, I'll do the hair, don't worry about it, and we work together. So that's been nice. The only challenge though is like, okay, I do makeup as well, like I'm a makeup artist, but I'm also a millennial mentor. How do I balance all of this? And how do I figure out how to put this on my page or share this with people? And, you got to figure it out somehow. But I'm still going through that figuring out process. But yeah, that's what else is happening in my life. And then, I'm just enjoying like motherhood, I guess. I have a 2-year-old. She's fun. And like, they're entertaining. So I
Hmm.
really enjoy like my family and what we're doing. And yeah. And then there's also like where we live. My mother-in-law, she has foster kids in their teens. So it's also just fun being in the house with all these people. Yeah, I wouldn't change that for the world. It's great.
I love that. I love how just like happy and fulfilled that you sound. And this is the kind of person that personally I would want to take advice from. Like, if I was ever going to take advice from somebody, which I
True.
definitely believe in mentorship, I believe in coaching, counseling. I am a product of all of these things. It just
Yeah,
helps to provide guidance. There's just so many
100%.
directions, so many options in life,
Yeah.
and to have somebody to help you just rein it all in, take a look at it in different ways. Like, I love that you bring in tarot, and I'd love
Mhm.
to know, like, how did you start to incorporate those spiritual elements into your coaching and mentoring, and how does that come across like to the people that you get to work with right now?
So I'll be honest, because the coaching decision is still very recent. I haven't brought it in as yet. So it's something that I've been like, again, you're confident, but you're still like, how are people gonna take this? And I know I shouldn't care So I'm also like, just give yourself time. You're going to find a way to incorporate it. You're going to find a way. You can even ask people. And so right now, I still feel like I'm in the practice of really learning the tarot, and really practicing the healing side of things, like doing readings. And that's been going really well. So, oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing. If you want to do a practice reading, I just want to continue practicing until I'm like, hey, I will offer this to people and this can be a part of our coaching session. Yeah.
I love that. I love the aspect of practice, which is so, so important.
Yes.
I think, sometimes we might even like kind of put ourselves out of the running because of the lack of preparation and practice. So we go up, to run the big race, but we did not practice to run. And then we get discouraged or we feel defeated when we
Right?
lose. But we lost for a very good reason. Like, and if and really the lesson is, okay, go back and do the practice and then see what happens then. And so I
Yes.
really love that you are so honest and transparent about this process, the ups and
Mhm.
downs. And I think that, again, that's like the kind of person that for me, I like to speak to because it feels like you're really living life. You're really out
True,
here
true, true.
and you're really trying to show people the realness about doing this thing called life. So I really,
Yeah.
really appreciate the insights that you have dropped on us today. And I'd love to know, is there anything coming up for you, like any events or anything like that, that you would want for people to be a part of? I know that you were recently collecting information from people. So
Mhm.
yeah, any cool things coming up that we can get, more connected with Melon online?
Yeah. So it's funny. I was just thinking about today. I really wanted to do winter walks, but the weather's not as bad as it seemed as I thought it would be. So,
I know it's like spring right now.
you know what I mean? Like the sun's out. That's exactly what I want to see. But I'm thinking of doing a walk later on in the month, just something very casual. Like whoever wants to come out and walk, let's go walk. But nothing set in stone as yet because I am working on a program. So yes, the program will
Go
be out
program.
around, yeah, right. That will be out mid February, and then I'm also trying to close up things when it comes to the business, the vegan business. But you can see my regular day to day on Melon Online and what kind of practices I'm employing into wellness. And soon I will open up readings to people that I completely don't know. So yeah, that's it for now. There isn't too much
Mm,
in the works for
okay.
this month. I didn't want to schedule anything that I was kind of like, it might be premature for me. So, yeah, but
Yes, and
that's
I love how you are really incorporating the lessons that you've learned along the way, into
yeah.
this new venture that you've taken on. I think that's beautiful, and that shows maturity, that shows growth, and that's really where we
Mm,
want to be at this time in our lives, being millennials. And I do have a question for you, might be a silly question, but do you only mentor millennials, like people who are at this age range? Or for you, what does millennial mean? Because I feel like
mm.
millennial, I'm glad to be one, but I feel like we've taken over, like, because it's such an iconic name. Yes, we are the best.
It's so
But for
iconic.
you, what
Like
does like being
people
millennial
don't realize.
mean? Right? We're like the best. I'm sorry, y'all. Like we
we
are
we
just
are
like
we are
so
in
like
many
it was like a
ways.
world. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah,
It was crazy. So, but for
we're
you, like,
lucky.
what does being a millennial mean? And you only coach millennials.
No, I don't only coach millennials. However, but I know it's important for me to have a focus area. So I am focused on millennials in terms of coaching. Or at least I put that out there that my focus is millennials, just because I feel like my experience is so tailored to millennials and it's a millennial experience. And my insight comes from a millennial place.
Hmm.
However, being the mentor, obviously because I'm a millennial, I probably have insight into other things that other generations are not really considering, but could definitely impact their life. So yeah, I'm open to mentoring anyone who feels that they need someone on their side that can help them see as clearly as possible what their reality looks like and how they can shift it into a place that actually feels a lot better and more balanced. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. And now my last question for you before we get at, or maybe two more questions, but one question that I have for you is if you could like to your younger self right now and like drop some gems on young Mel, what are some of the things, or even someone who might be listening out there right now today and they're in this place where they feel unbalanced. Maybe they're making this tough life decision about where to go next in their career. What are
Mhm.
some advice that you might have heard or that you would share with these individuals?
Um, hmm, Great question. Keep going with the flow because the flow is gonna help. Um, Especially because life is hard. You don't want to feel like you're always fighting. So when something comes up that feels right or feels like, oh, I like that, like your whole body's engaged in that, this is a real moment for me. Like I'm really enjoying this feeling or this idea that I have or this desire, and it comes to you like that, trust what it's telling you and go with the flow. Try it out. So if it's a, this thing crossed my mind and it was so random. Like, I want to learn this. I want to learn more about cars. Say that's what it is. I want to learn more about cars. Go on YouTube
Mhm.
and just type in cars. Like, find a video that might pique your interest and trust that your body's going to guide you towards the right videos. Like, I think because we're so used to fighting the feeling and fighting the process, it's hard to get back into that flow, but you have to trust the feelings, especially when it feels good, because that is your body, your essence, your soul telling you that, hey, whatever you're not loving, there's something that can bring some ease to that. And there's something that can pique your interest more. And there's something that you can look into that will help bring more freedom, more peace, more calm to your life. So just try to go with the flow, but trust
Mhm.
when you get excited about things because it does mean something. It's a real message. And if you're so out of touch with yourself that you feel like nothing excites you, you're going to have to just do something that is probably further out of your comfort zone. Like something like when a friend invites you somewhere, you're gonna have to go with
Mhm.
them. Like because you need to open yourself up to new experiences to start getting those messages and those feelings of what could potentially excite you. Yeah.
Yes, that is some good advice that very much resonated in my soul about some
Okay.
decisions that I need to make. So I thank you for
Mhm.
that. Yes, honestly, I was like, oh, okay, go with the, especially, yeah, I don't really hear too often the the idea that when it just feels really good and easy, that that's
Mhm.
maybe when you should go with it instead of always trying to go for the hard thing because people say that, if it's not hard, it's not worth it kind of thing. Some things
This
it
makes
might come
sense.
with more ease and you just enjoy it so much that what seems hard to other people, it just seems like a cakewalk to you because it's what you
Exactly.
really want to do, like, so yeah, that really hit me. I'm like, "Oh, there's some
Yeah.
things that are, like, where I'm just like, this is too easy. This is too easy, so it must not be for me." That I'm,
And
like,
it's like,
just running to the hard stuff to, like, prove to who, to what? I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's more about our conditioning too, right? Like we've been so accustomed to like fighting for things and like we got to battle it out for it to be worth it. And it's like, no, that's not really, sorry, I have a dog. That's not really what it's about. Like life can be a lot easier than we make it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, I love that. It's an affirmation that I hope we take into the rest of our weeks, y'all, because we've had Melissa James here with us, Melon Online underscore, if you want to find her on any of the platforms. And she is a millennial mentor. She's a MUA, that means she is a makeup artist and a mother, a mother. All right.
Yes,
She is
yes.
amazing, amazing, an entrepreneur amongst all of those things, and somebody that I'm so amazed and thankful that you took the time to take and have an elevated conversation with me today, right here on Voices of the Millennials. We are on Love Bay Radio, and we are now streaming in 135 countries. So I want to say good night to everybody. That was our last question for Melisa, but hopefully, if the universe aligns, we will be able to have you back for a part 2,
Yes.
because 1 hour is just not enough time. There's so many questions that I have for you, but we got to wrap it up.
Absolutely.
Next up will be Bella and the business. And I want to thank you so much, Melisa, for coming through and chatting with me. And we'll see you next
Thank
time. Peace
you.
and blessings.
Thank you.
Yes,
This was
yes. And good
great.
night to
I
everybody.
will come back anytime. Thank you. Same to you and the family.